your list. I disagree with my colleague James here regarding the elimination of the IRGC leadership in order to some sort of an encouragement, rather small or big, of a regime change. I think this is not on Israel's or America's agenda right now, simply because of the fact that Reza Pahlavi is not in Iran, and it will create a massive void that no one can estimate in time. So as long as there is not a replacement in line, it would be very hard for us to even talk about a regime change right now. But what is interesting is that if you look at who they eliminated, it's mostly commanders of the IRGC Air Force. And this is, of course, more with the intention to cause disruption in the chain of command when it comes to launching ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, launching of the drones. This is the aim of it, and you can see it on the ground. You can see there is not some sort of a fluid action by the Iranian regime on the ground when it comes to launching those. And I think we saw a very interesting example for that today, that I can go into details with the drones that got launched from Iranian territory. I can get into that if you want, Pyotr, but it will take a couple of minutes, so it's up to you as the co-host of the space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we can do. We might have to jump in with breaking news such as this, which is that an explosion has been heard near Tehran's Mehrabad airport, according to Iran International English. So again, quite sort of, I know sporadic is the right word, but random locations you would think, but actually very much targeted. Mario had an interesting question, which was sort of why haven't some of the larger nuclear facilities in the east been hit? And it seems to be Israel has a very particular approach to this. Clearly this is a decision that has multiple rounds. Whether or not this on what continues into the night or continues over the weekend remains to be seen. But depending upon how much the Israelis feel that they've crippled or can cripple the Iranians further, they've got a very clear blueprint of what they want to achieve. And I reiterated my point before, which is that this is quite a exceptional illustration of military efficiency or precision. So yeah, we're also trying to get some more speakers to join us. One friend of ours, Amir, is in Iran, and he keeps trying to join, but clearly it's obviously being affected by events at the moment. But Amir, if you can find a stable Wi-Fi, we'd love to hear from you. Voice, go for it.
Yeah, Pyotr, one thing I also said in Mario's live stream was that we have to remember that the really sensitive nuclear facilities are deep underground. And this is not something you can do in one or even two strikes or in a matter of a couple of hours. The Israeli Air Force right now is first causing an initial shock, which buys it more time, which means you do quicks in and out of those facilities, then you come back to another round and you attack those facilities again. But in order to penetrate into the depth of these facilities, you will need a little bit of a different constellation, and you will need bunker busters, very heavy bunker busters that are going into the same point dropped by different fighter jets, one after the other, just to penetrate those layers. So right now we are not seeing it because it's a little bit of a more complex operation that, as far as I know, the Israeli Air Force, they're probably leaving it a little bit toward the later point of this operation.
Let me ask you on that point, though.
Sure.
Do you think that the Americans could get involved? Clearly, from analysis I was reading, my understanding is that the Americans would need to get more involved to provide, or upscale, if you like, Israel's capabilities in terms of these bunker buster type bombs. Is that right, or what's your assessment?
Yeah, it's fair. First of all, they don't need to get involved at this point. We're still not, as I said, in the point of pulling out B-52 or mother of all bombs or anything like that. I do not think that the United States will be involved, Pyotr. I really don't believe so. I'm still somehow, and it was going to sound crazy to you, I still think that this is going to be ending up with an agreement of some sort between the United States and Iran, even though we're seeing a completely different reality on the ground right now. So I don't think the United States will get involved. I think this is just a means of pressure, and I think you will see a deal being signed without the U.S. needing to be involved. Right now, the U.S. strongest card in front of the Iranian regime is
Well,
you better sign
we can
the
take
deal
the opposite
or
of that
we will let
statement as
Israel
being
keep doing
probably
what
the
it's
truth.
doing, and it's sort of using Israel, and not in a malicious way, but sort of using Israel as the dog that you hold on the leash, and you're threatening to take off the leash if they will refuse to sign the deal. So I think this is sort of the realpolitik that we're seeing right now.
So just one point, Pure. There is warnings that after the ballistic missile that was thrown from the Houthis, there is also warning above Iraq from cruise missiles and not cruise, but like missiles and drones going through Iraq into Israeli territory. So it seems that some sort of retaliation is ongoing. Still not enough information to qualify what it is and the impact of that attack.
I see we've got Mark requesting. I'm quite keen to hear from Mark, nuclear expert. President, I see you've got your hand raised as well. Did you want to jump in?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, regarding your question, whether the U.S. would be involved, that is an Iranian decision right now. Iran can show up on Sunday. President Trump was very clear that we're still open to talking, obviously under very different terms at this point. But obviously, from a technical perspective, Israel will need American assets and American expertise to hit those deeply buried nuclear facilities that are deep in the mountains that requires B-2 and 30,000-pound bombs. However, the Iranian regime has the option today to open up these facilities to inspectors, and what Iran gets out of that, well, this two-week campaign, this very painful two-week campaign, will become a few-day campaign, and the regime may survive at the end of the day. We have to remember, and I'll wrap up with this, the Iranian regime for half a century has traded prosperity, personal safety, democracy. They forced this trade on the Iranian people in exchange for protecting the people from this make-believe monster that's Israel and the United States. Now they are miserably failing in delivering on that promise, and the Iranian people protesting today and asking their government to retaliate, they will soon ask their government to ask for a new government, because there is no retaliation coming, not a meaningful one at least.
So Cliff, you had a question?
Yes, well, I just wanted to add something. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, comment, basically given the president and Israel the legitimacy of the Congress to take actions. That's how I understood it. I could be wrong, but that's how I interpreted his message. So technically, if the president wants to get involved now, he has the backing of the Congress, apparently. So I completely understand. We need the GBU 57s and heavy ammunition to destroy the targets. But it seems like so far the Israelis are doing fabulous. At first, there were a lot of doubts about the air refueling capabilities and stuff. The Israelis, apparently they have Boeing 707s that they have modified somehow, and they're using it to refuel their jets in the air, probably above Iraqi and Syrian air. So I see where the bombardment is needed, which I believe at some point is going to come soon. If the Yemenis and the militias will continue targeting Israel at the way and the rate they're doing now, I could see Israel jumping. I could see the United States jumping into the scene very, very soon. That's what I just wanted to add.
Thanks, Cliff. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to tell, I think, exactly what's going to Trump's head. Keep in mind that this is the chap who said he would end all the wars, and, well, we're now in a major potential one. So yeah, it's difficult to tell, I think, exactly what he's planning. Abraham Accords was his crowning achievement of foreign policy in his first term. So, if they can deal a decisive blow to the Islamic Republic, which sort of, alleviates the fear of the Arab states and such, then it may be a success. But at the moment, but it's still not sure to me, at least, what the Iranians can do or are willing to do. And Mark, I sort of wanted to come to you really because of your nuclear expertise. What exactly are we seeing from Israel strikes? What have they hit? How significant is this in terms of setbacks for the Iranians to their nuclear program, but also their nuclear capabilities from an energy provision, let alone, weaponry and stuff?
Hey, I want to apologize in advance. I'm actually at the airport, but I'll try to be quick here. I have not yet seen confirmed reports of damage. And by the way, I just want to say, anyone can DM me. If anybody sees a report they want to check on the veracity of, or the possibility of, or even just inform me of something they think I've missed, please send it to my DMs. I promise I'll see it, and I appreciate all the help. Anyway, so far what we've seen from IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, is they said they're watching. There's been no leaks. There's been no radiation. But IAEA is often not in a position to say much more than we want everybody to stop attacking nuclear facilities. Don't do it. It can be dangerous. So it kind of falls to others to sort out what the potential harm is. In this case, I have not seen anything yet from official sources, and I just got off the plane saying there's been damage that could lead to radiation leakage, but I want to clarify that Natanz is not a nuclear reactor facility. I think there's been a lot of misinformation overnight with people calling it a reactor, and then some people then saying that means that reactors in Iran have been hit. This is not the case.
Right, sorry about the background noise.
If I might just jump in quickly for some news, and we'll see if we'll share it here live during the space. But according to Fars news agency, the Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei will address the nation in a couple of minutes. So that's something to be on the lookout. And we'll try to share the highlights of that once that happens, to see and what his response is and how both countries are in a state of war, but Iran doesn't even acknowledge the existence of the state of Israel. So it'll be interesting.
Cypher, do you think it will be pre-recorded or will it be live?
That's an interesting question. Actually, interestingly enough, and I'll share it. Obviously the Supreme Leader is not in this area, but it does look like that there was earlier air defense activity near the Supreme Leader's residence in Tehran. Obviously, the Supreme Leader's not there. But that's something that I wouldn't be surprised if this was pre-recorded or he is in a very secure bunker.
Well, keep in mind also that the guy is 85, so his health is not exactly ideal for these sorts of situations.
Yeah.
I can't see him being ferried around or making harried statements at that time. So I think it's going to be pre-recorded, but how long and what he chooses to focus on, I think, is as critical as how it's done. But, Hazim, you wanted to jump in on that point?
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's definitely going to be re-recorded. I don't think they'll risk having him exposed in any shape, way, or form, including with signal intelligence. I'm really eager to see what he's going to say about the colossal failure of his military systems. Again, we have to remind everybody that according to the IDF, at least not a single surface-to-air missile was launched against at this point more than 400 sorties by the Israeli Air Force. This is failure. I mean, this would. I guarantee you the Iranian regime did not just decide not to protect its skies. So we'll see what he's going to say, but I think, in my opinion, or my hope at least, that he will start making the case for showing up on Sunday to the negotiations.
Yeah, just getting some news here. Thanks, Steph. Yeah, the Home Front Command guys basically stay near protected areas. That's what's coming from Channel 13 in Israel. So there is still a fair amount of fear about what the Iranians plan to do. I personally do think that there's going to be more coming tonight. The Iranians tend to do more in the night. Also, how many of these major escalations have we seen occurring on a Friday or a Saturday? It's insane. It's been almost every time, I think, in the Middle East at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do choose to do something sort of, well, Khamenei gives his pre-recorded address and then they start launching. Well, actually, Stefan put that to you as a question. What could the Israelis do, realistically?
The Iranians
and mirages? What options do they have left?
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, the only thing is the ballistic missiles. Again, here's the problem that Iran has, is like, although they have the largest ballistic missile program in the Middle East, not all the ballistic missiles that Iran has in their arsenal can reach Israel, right? If this was an attack against, let's say, U.S. military bases across the Middle East, oh, absolutely. Right, because you have Qatar, UAE, etc. Yeah. Those short-range, the vast majority of those short-range ballistic missiles within the arsenal of Iran can reach those targets. Right. The thing about Israel is they have to use their medium-range ballistic missiles, so Israel doesn't have to be worried about a lot of these other areas, and I think that's why they're doing a lot of these targeted strikes. I mean, we've seen the concentrated the strikes in Tabriz, Kerenshaw. This is kind of the western portion, and they're probably targeting those missile systems that can reach into Israel. And so that's something really important to highlight. And so, but, Iran can still do it. If you look historically, at all the Iranian things and when they launch, I mean, it takes them a couple of days to do it. And that's why we're probably seeing the drone launches. But I think this is why Israel is really starting to gain dramatic control of the leadership of these organizations, because they want to cause mass confusion and chaos within the IRGC ranks. And that would cause more of a delay for an Iranian response, enabling Israel, since they basically have, for all intents and purposes, air superiority over Iran already, enable them to continue to conduct strikes against these assets, right? I think that's the goal of the Israelis. It was a decapitation strike, cause mass confusion within the ranks, and then leverage that confusion to then start striking more hardened structures and support networks, logistics, bases, etc., to really degrade those abilities.
So Steph, I mean, I see we've got Colonel Jeff on stage. I want to go to him. But, I would say it's quite interesting, really. They have been quite disciplined and only focusing on the military arm, right? There's no political arm, and we know the relationship of how the two work together, especially in a place like the Islamic Republic. So very much about the IRGC are a fact, not the political sort of network and such. But, Jeff, what's your opinion of what you've been saying today and now, and what could happen even as early as tonight or over the weekend?
Yeah, thanks for bringing me up. So I think the lesson learned here is if you're buying Western military gear, you can project power pretty far, and if you are buying Russian gear, you're in a lot of trouble. As another nation, right? Because we've now learned from Ukraine that Russian stuff wasn't really up to snuff it was still effective to a degree. Let's not say it was completely effective. But their export variants, things that they're giving out to other nations, were woefully inadequate. I don't think that's going too far beyond the bounds, right? Or overly dramatic. And when you have 400 sorties flying over your nation and you get down one airplane, that's a big deal. I do have a question. I don't know necessarily how the supreme leaders tie to the military is, right? So, and I don't know if he would be target of an assassination if he's not somehow tied to the military, because you can't. As much as I understand, Israel might want to do that, right? I don't think that they dabble into laws of armed conflict violations that do that. So
he is the leader. The same way Nasrallah was the leader of the military.
Okay, perfect. Then that answers that question. I didn't know. Okay, thanks.
So we've got some interesting information here that was just shared. Although to me it doesn't come as too much of a surprise, much like the Ukrainians giving backstory to the US administration, I think at least before Trump took over, about Operation Spiderweb, and Netanyahu who gave, fire warning or whatever information to the US about these strikes. Netanyahu said that Israel coordinated with the US ahead of its attack on Iran, quote unquote. We told them in advance they knew about the strike. What they will do now, I leave it to President Trump. He makes his own decisions. I will not speak for him. He speaks very persuasively and very firmly and said Iran should not have nuclear weapons. They should not have enrichment capabilities. That comes from a CNN article and demonstrates, I think, that the perceived bad relations between Trump and Netanyahu was actually all nonsense. So I don't know. I mean, I still think there was some disagreement here and there, but it's speculation. So anyway, that's the latest bit of information on the political front. Boys, go for it.
Hey Peter, so I just got an alert to my phone from the Homefront Command Center, and they are basically asking people in certain areas. So me living close to the northern border, they asked us to be next to a bombing shelter because there is the suspicion that there will be some sort of an attack during Khamenei's speech. So right now, this is the situation on the ground. So in case there will be anything, I will try to open my mic. But if not, then you would know that I'm running.
Just to confirm, you're saying you did get indications that an attack is originating from Iran against Israel. That was the alert that was sent. Just to confirm.
Yes, they are sending it individually according to the area that you live. So they trace your phone, they know in which area you live, and then you're getting this warnings and the alerts that it's because of the fear of an imminent attack.
Yeah, because we have images, and actually we had a speaker yesterday, so I don't know if we can get him back on to the Mario teams. Stephen Nabil. He said he tweeted a video, and you're seeing moments ago, we've seen over Iraqi cities in the western part, headed towards Jordan, and then obviously Israel. It just looks some contrails, could be cruise missiles, could be ballistic missiles. So that could be associated voice to what you were alluding to. But from the videos, it doesn't look like a large quantity. But we don't know how.
I just want to stick on this, though, Steph, for a second. A voice, so you're there. So if I can ask, how do you feel being on the ground? Do you feel that the Iron Dome is well equipped to deal with any potential? I mean, it did remarkably well the first time round, but I feel like the Iranians are going to upscale it even more this time. So, personally for you, how do you feel being in the situation? If that makes sense.
Well, somehow at the same time. By jets in the air and stuff like that. The Iron Dome is less what makes me feel secure. It's more like the Arrow 2, the Arrow 3, and also new laser system of ELTA.
Don't forget David Sling.
I think we lost voice. Am I the one who can't hear
Hear me?
Yeah, I think.
There you are, boys. There you are. Now we can hear you.
Sorry, guys. I hope you can hear me now well, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm saying that these systems, because they intercept the missiles way outside the atmosphere and also mostly far away from the Israeli airspace, I feel more secure knowing that these are deployed in the exact place. I think the Iranian mindset or the IRGC mindset is to launch an attack because they believe maybe that most of our Air Force pilots are too busy with Gaza or also with what's happening in Iran right now, and maybe it will be a good time to launch some sort of an attack. But they probably learned some lessons from what happened last time when they tried to launch cruise missiles, drones, and ballistic missiles all at the same time, so some arrived earlier, some arrived a little bit later, and they thought this is how they're going to challenge the air defense system. So that's not the case. That's not how they can challenge it. I feel safe, Piotr, living in Israel in time like this, but I'm also very about health because a war with Iran is not like a war with Gaza. This is something completely different, and the longer it will take, the dangerous it will become for all sides, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's just very interesting to share with listeners. Obviously, you're covering this professionally, but you are there on the ground. Your personal security is another element. So appreciate that. But Hazem, did you want to jump in and then we'll go to you, Jeff?
Yeah, real quick on retaliation. The key point when it comes to retaliation, it needs to be proportional. And Iran has nothing remotely proportional to what has been done over the past few hours and continues to be done. There's another aspect that, for one, Iran tried to retaliate already with 200 drones, all were shut down. Obviously, the response from Iranian arms and proxies, such as the Houthis, for Hezbollah, it was a very bashful drones attempt, and Hezbollah would not want the Lebanese army to get involved at this point, and they will get involved if Hezbollah tries to do more than what they've done already. For the Houthis, they're looking at the situation, they're saying, well, we don't have any capabilities, and we really do not feel like we should be dragged into this conflict with a very active air campaign that can be very easily expanded into Yemen. Also, for the Iranian regime, as you mentioned very correctly, they have a limited amount of missiles to use to reach Israel. And the failure, now we're having this conversation, there's the illusion of the capability to respond by the Iranians. If they start sending ballistic missiles and these missiles get shut down in totality, then even that illusion of capability will be gone and they'll be left with absolutely nothing. So it's not an easy decision for the Iranians to take this risk.
Well, that's it. It's specific on that, right? I think it's the Iranians lost a major.
Can I just read? Just quickly. Sorry, if I may. I think this was shared in Khamenei's Telegram channel. I'm just going to read it out just from the address, and then Hazami can vote. Nothing burger. The supreme leader of the revolution in a televised message to the Iranian nation said, quote, "The armed forces will make the scoundrel Zionist regime miserable." Ayatollah Khamenei addressed the great Iranian nation in a televised message tonight. The armed forces will act with force and impoverish the scoundrel Zionist regime. The Zionist regime will not escape this crime unscathed. The Iranian people can be assured.
Hey Nick, you want to hear a Cindy Stumble impersonation? This fucking war is breaking my balls and my workers aren't showing up. I got 10 construction sites and no Mexicans.
The Iranians lost one of their.
Nelson, I want my money back from investing in this piece of shit app.
You can argue which was the plausible deniability thing by striking around
Grant.
or attempting to.
Grant.
Obviously,
the Israelis have made an unprovoked attack on Israel, on Iran, and it's not our responsibility to come to their aid.
You can argue they're doing well in line of contact, but the Ukrainians keep, entering their own airspace. When someone was saying, the Russians will send their air force down to help the Iranians out, blah, blah, blah. Really? So the
shut the fuck up! When I am fucking speaking, you will go on fucking mute until I finish my fucking point. Is it that fucking hard to understand? Have a little modicum of decency.
Nobody's willing to die Iran's hill today. They are alone and they are afraid. For sure.
But Voice Jeff, you guys got your hands
up.
Go back to you.
You're just a racist dude.
Jeff was before me.
I'm
will explain
sweet
something about the
Southern
Iranian.
Shut the fuck up!
Jeff could go ahead.
Okay, I was trying to be ladies first, but go for it, Jeff.
You're such a gentleman. What I wanted to point out was I think earlier you said it was interesting what they pick for targets, and I would tell you that if you're going
Streaming here on Clubhouse.
No, isn't that crazy? You invested in an app to restream your conference call on the original conference call app. It's crazy.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Well, it's a scam. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I think they use it to vet investors and then to see how much of a sucker they are.
Yeah, soliciting investors. That's all they're doing.
And it's basically an investment scam. It's not an actual business. It's the same thing with Fanbase. Have you ever used that racist piece of shit app?
Hey, bro. How do I do that shit in Canada?
I don't know. Try setting up an app.
How do I do that?
That's how you do it. That's how you get started.
Yep. Well, the thing is like, so now that Clownhouse charges, well, they don't charge, but I think this is going to be a pay app eventually. Even if it's just $5 a year, $10 a year, I think they're eventually going to make you pay something.
I think that's what they're going to do with Chatter.
Chatterbait.
Caught by surprise that in order to launch these missiles, they'll need fuel, a special fuel for these missiles. And earlier today,
It come from China.
Attacks,
The special fuel come from China.
Bombing also in Tabriz, the fuel, the rocket fuel depots that were there as well. So it might be the reason, one of the reasons at least, why we see this delay. Now, let's sort it out.
It would be like, no, I really want to hear what Tiffany has to say. God. That was a perfect troll name because nobody knew, and they're just, oh no, I really, this Tiffany person's pretty interesting.
Was I doing a girl's voice or did?
Yeah. You were from like the South. I think you were from like South Carolina or Georgia or something. Alabama.
I hate this app.
It's just hilarious how serious people take it.
I know, it's really pathetic. It shows you that even if you're a successful person and you take yourself so seriously on this app, like you have failed to comprehend one of the like preeminent points of life is like this is all temporary and you're willing to die on a hill, and really it's a question of like flexibility. People are inflexible. They're so rigid in their ego, and they demand that their projection, be listened to, and that it's 100% correct. It's nobody is tentative, and everybody is just definitive or extremely rigid. There's no give in these people's houses, which is their brain and their identity. And they don't see the comedy in any of this. Which is, if you don't see the comedy, then you don't have an understanding of like one of the main tenets of philosophy is that God is laughing and smiling. So.
Well, that's the thing. I think people they don't know how to laugh, and they're taking this app to like the extreme level. Everything they take what everyone says with a grain of salt. Like,
if your behavior on here is very childish, demeaning, pathetic, egotistical, vainglorious, etc., like that's how you are in the real world. Like there's no doubt about it. Like there's no online persona. That's you. Everything you say here, how you respond, how you act, that's you. So if you're a petty little obnoxious bitch, that's you in the real world. That's life. You are your words.
Yep. So what's going on in Chicago? I saw that there's like parades for this bullshit ICE shit.
Yeah.
And they're blocking like, what was it, Michigan Avenue? I can't remember, but they blocked part of like one of their areas right by the water where like you can't get past the road.
Yeah, I don't know, but they say Saturday could be like a very dangerous day. So I don't know. Stay home with your guns and your butter.
Yeah. Well, look at the People's Republic of Los Angeles. What's going on there? Why the fuck did you say like your sister lives in Cali?
Yeah. I know.
She
lives in Seattle, actually. Another liberal shithole. Every major city is a liberal shithole.
But that's just it. Edmund, I was in Minneapolis with my friend. We went to South Dakota, whatever. The layover was in Minneapolis for a day. And we're like, let's go take a walk down there. So we went down to the Mall of America, whatever, took the subway downtown. Like, the downtown wasn't bad because like there was a basketball game going on, so it wasn't too bad. But like the Mall of America is filled with Somali Muslims.
I know.
They've taken over.
I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen how happy these young Somalis are. They're just like kids in a candy shop. They're where they don't belong. They shouldn't be here. I mean, This is the problem in America.
That's who gave us Ilhan Omar. And like here in Michigan, Dearborn, they voted Rashid Tlaib because it's like an 80% Muslim population there.
Yep. It's crazy. You'd think that these Muslim men or women would like wise up and at least get rid of that dumb bitch. I mean,
You know, a lot of these Muslims, they sided with Trump over the trans pederasty.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of the Muslims in Detroit sided with Trump. They met with him. They like shook his hand.
But the thing is what shocks me is Trump's pro-Israel.
I know, but they would rather choose that over trans pederasty because they're conservative. So yeah, they looked at Kamala and Waltz and they're like, nope, fuck that shit. They would rather have their fucking they would rather have the war and conservatives in charge than have these clown people in charge. So
Interesting.
yeah, I thought that was a surprising twist. I was like, how could they side with? Because I think they know what the game is that these Democrats are just ruthless war hawks as well, and maybe even worse. They are worse, not maybe worse. They're 100 times worse.
No, you got someone worse than Lori Lighthead in Chicago. I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that it can get worse, but yeah, he's an example of a woke leftist African American male. I mean, he sits there and he talks about how, this is the way things would have been if the Confederacy won. Like, he says the most insanely stupid shit. There is no way he wins again. Like, his approval rating is that low. So like, he's going to be a one-term mayor.
You know what's going to be interesting when they start telling Chicago pension
Recipients,
people that get a Chicago pension that you're like, yeah, you're not getting 100 cents on the dollar. You're getting like 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And even that's pushing it 50 cents of the dollar. But when they finally admit that they're fucking bankrupt and you take away like people's retirement,
who knows if or when that'll happen, because they could just keep borrowing. Just in the same way that the federal government does. These city-states they do have the ability and the direct relationships, and the banks are like, you want us to lend you more money at this rate? Okay, you got a deal. Like, this is how banks make money. I mean, and the banks are agnostic too. They don't care if they're even going to get paid back. They want the transaction fee.
fractional reserves. They keep 10% and they loan back out 90% of it. I mean, it's the fractional banking system is, oh man.
I mean, you know who is fucked? Iran. They're fucked. Palestinians in Gaza Strip, they're fucked. I mean, did you see Yemen launched a rocket and it fucking hit the West Bank? Like they're hitting their own people.
Yeah. Like they don't understand that people don't support Muslim nations. Like everyone's gonna turn against Muslim nations for long. Like, trust me, this is not going to end well.
Somebody's calling us incels in the chat. Okay, let me go back to this
Iranian police, all sorts of vehicles, armed vehicles, stuff that are mostly being used by police officers of the regime. Once you're going to see those being under attack, this is when you know, okay, the target is indeed to at least spark a regime change. And right now, this is not what we're seeing. We don't see any of these targets being attacked, at least not for now.